Well, good morning, everyone. We'll get started. I know Miss Sky is still letting people in. We want to go ahead and get started this morning. Good morning to everyone. What a great day it is. My name is Kenyatta Simmons. Please hold your applause for me, please. You can hold your applause. Just joking. My name is Kenyatta Simmons. I'm the Assistant Director of Recruitment, and I work in the Office of Enrollment Management. Yes, at Northeastern University. I am a grad school recruiter. So what we do, we recruit for all programs, but this morning, we want to welcome you on behalf of Northeastern University. As you guys know, Northeastern is a great university, it's a global leader, research and bioinformatics. And so this morning, we're excited. We're located all over the globe, campus in Boston, London, Vancouver, Miami, and in California. So we're excited today to have a session where we could talk about bioinformatics. Again, my name is Kenyatta Simmons. My counterpart, my co-host, is Sky Osborne. She is the best college success manager there is at Northeastern. I don't care what one says. She's the best at what it is. And our job today is to monitor the chat. So any questions you have, put them in the chat. We'll be doing what we do behind the scenes. Before we get started, put in the chat where you are calling from. Where are you watching us from? Where are you viewing this particular info session from? Put that in the chat. If you're in Texas like myself, or you're in Florida, if you're in India, wherever you are, do me a favor, put that in the chat. Let us know where you're watching us from this morning. Where are you located? We like those type of things. And so, oh wow, I see it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. We're excited today. Again, any questions you may have, put them in the chat. Also, at the end of our presentation today, we invite you to stick around for another maybe 15, 20 minutes or so, come off mute and ask questions directly. And so we're excited. Our bioinformatics department is one of the best in the world, literally a global leader. And so I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to turn it over to bioinformatics.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Max Wolf. I'm the program director for the Bioinformatics program. I'm an associate professor here on the Boston campus. That's where I'm talking to you all from. So let me open up this presentation. And let's see if we can get this kicked off. All right. Can you all see that? This looks good. All right,
Yeah.
awesome. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the our bioinformatics graduate program here at Northeastern. I'll talk a little bit about what makes Northeastern so great, as well as the bioinformatics programs, so the campuses that we currently have some students in, and where you might potentially be wanting to go. We're going to talk about co-op, which is a really big highlight of our program. It's an experiential opportunity that all of you would get to experience if you joined our program, as well as some application information for those of you that haven't applied yet, perhaps, and are interested in submitting an application, just some information about that. So, and then after that, we'll take questions and answer. Happy to answer any questions that you all might have about the program afterwards. In the meantime, if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll try and get to them after the presentation's over. So why Northeastern? As Kenyatta said, this is really, it's one of the top universities in research in the world. We have so many great faculty that are doing good work. In bioinformatics, we have both full-time faculty devoted to teaching faculty on campus, as well as some part-time faculty that work in industry at the same time and can offer a great perspective of what that's like, kind of being in industry and being really part of the industry experience in bioinformatics and biotechnology related fields. It's a pretty flexible program, especially for those students who are coming from the US with the ability to do part-time. enrollment as well. For those of you who are international students, typically it's the full-time program. I'm going to talk a little bit more later on about what that means. There's so many opportunities to network. Many of you have seen, all of the things in the chat where you all are coming from. And that's really representative of the students that are in the program as well. So you have people coming in from all over the world. You get to meet them, talk to them about their interests, meet all these cool, faculty that work in industry. Lots of opportunities to network, to meet people. The Boston campus is a really lovely location. It's quite big. Lots of things around Boston as well to come and see. We've got some new buildings. One of them is featured over here. That's won some awards. Our Toronto and our Rue campuses that I'm going to talk about shortly are a little cozier, a little bit smaller cohorts at those campuses, but definitely lots of really exciting local research opportunities there as well. And it really is a global university. All of you will have opportunities to take courses online as well. For maybe you were really interested in faculty that aren't at your campus, you have an opportunity to take courses with them as well. So we've got, as I said earlier, 2 other campuses at the moment. Aside from the Boston campus, we have the Rue Institute at Northeastern, and there's an email, there's a website address there if you're interested in learning more about that campus, as well as our growing campus in Toronto that I'm really excited about because we're just adding more and more opportunities on that campus every semester. And if you're interested about any of these locations specifically, there will be more sessions later on in the year for those campuses specifically. So this is a professional science master's program. And so relative to a traditional master's, one of the big components of the program is the required industry experience. And so that means that while you're in the program, you get to learn a little bit about business and professional skills through the biotech enterprise course. And there's a required co-op that's part of the program as well. So a co-op is basically a paid internship program that's integrated into the curriculum of bioinformatics. So there's a preparatory course that you would take while you're here at Northeastern on your campus. And then that course will help you prepare, give you some professional skills, prepare your resume, talk about interviews, so then and help you find positions that match with your career interests and experience, where you can do an internship, typically around 6 months in length, although sometimes longer as well. Additional to all that, we also have an advisory board consisting of professionals, like CEOs of various biotechnology or pharmaceutical companies, where we touch base with them, every year or sometimes a little bit more often to know what are the skills that are most needed right now in industry for graduates that are entering the field. And so we often make updates to our program to make sure that as you are all finishing your degrees, you have the most up-to-date set of skills to be able to work in industry. And so the degree that you get at the completion of the program is a Master of Science degree. But the specifics of the degree can relate to several different concentrations. So I'm going to talk about the different concentration options here. Not all of them are available on every campus, but I'll give an overview of all of them just to start. So we have our bioinformatics, enterprise, and biotechnology concentrations. These concentrations are focused on the business aspect of biotechnology. So, running a company, maybe doing management or consulting type aspects, and sort of applying the bioinformatics skills to that. The biotechnology concentration has a focus on attaining kind of more wet lab skills and integrating the data analysis that you learn in the bioinformatics program to some specific biotechnological applications. Then we have our data analytics concentration. The focus of data analytics centers around analyzing data specifically. So this is a concentration where you could gain applicable skills even if you choose to use them outside of bioinformatics. Anything that really processes data, this concentration will give you the skills to work on manipulating data, doing statistical analysis, and being able to have some sort of conclusions about the data that you would encounter at your job. And then we have the health informatics and the medical health informatics concentrations. These concentrations are focused more on sort of the health and patient interaction side of things. So if you're interested in, maybe working at a hospital, doing some data analysis, we're looking at genetic data of patients or things like that. These are two great concentrations to choose. And then finally, we have the omics concentration. This is our most popular concentration, which focuses on large-scale analysis of biological data. So, maybe you're looking at transcriptomic data, differential expression analysis, looking at various genomics, both from the perspective of individual health to the kind of general understanding of evolutionary patterns and how that can be used to identify the functionality of genes. Many individuals from this concentration go on to go work in industry related to gene therapeutics and similar kinds of applications. And many fields in biology use this type of omics data, whether transcriptomics, proteomics, metabolomics data, in order to make conclusions about the health of individuals, look at biomarkers. Lots of very interesting applications with this concentration. And finally, for those of you who are unsure maybe of what you want to do, or maybe you've already been working in industry for a while and are looking for really specific skills to fill, we also have an elective option. And this means you're essentially, choosing which courses fit best to your needs and creating kind of your own personalized concentration out of those. And so this gives you the flexibility to select the courses that you need that might be the best fit. So a little bit about the coursework in the bioinformatics program. So it's a 32 credit program. Full-time is typically 8 credits per semester. So this means you finish the program typically in about 2 years. And then depending on whether you do a co-op in between, or if you do a co-op in the summer, it could be potentially up to 2.5 years. For those of you that are able to take the part-time option, typically it's a course per term rather than 2. So, it might take twice as long, but it enables you to maybe continue working at whatever company you might already be working in right now, or, doing other things in the meantime. Some of the electives, so that are outside of the core courses that everyone is required to take in the program, can be listed here. So we have genomics for bioinformatics. That's actually the course that I teach, which focuses on analysis of genomic data and gene annotation. We have data mining and machine learning. Obviously, many of you heard of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we've got courses that help you understand, what those methods can and can't accomplish. We have information design and visual analytics. So this part of the data analytics concentration. How do you understand the meaning within the data that comes to you, and how can you visualize this data in order to help other people understand the results so that they can make good conclusions from the data that you have and take next steps that are most productive based on the information that you know. And so, many other electives like these are available for the program. If you are on the Boston or the Root campus, there's an elective slot built in to the core. So you're able to take essentially at least one elective of anything that you're interested in, regardless of the concentration that you choose. So in addition to this Masters of Bioinformatics, which is the 32 credits that I've talked about, that has the co-op and the 6 required courses and the concentrations, there's also a graduate certificate option if you're interested in that instead. So it has roughly, half the credits, half the requirements, but you're unable to do co-op if you're interested in that and the certificate. But you can start with our certificate and then decide you want to move into the MS as you do that early enough. And so a little bit more about the kind of professional science masters. And so this is a little bit more specifically about the co-op. So again, the importance of these co-op opportunities is to give you all a chance to experience what it's like working in an academic lab or within industry. And so that gives you a chance to not just kind of have to go into a job blindly once you've finished your education, but to give you a little bit of practice of what it's like dealing with finding out what like the problem is that you're trying to study, contribute to a big, maybe multidisciplinary project. And this really helps both in your own feelings of preparation for how ready you feel to begin a job after you finish your master's, but also just generally improving your intellectual understanding and ability to communicate with other people. So we believe that this co-op is extremely important, an important part of our program, which is why it's mandatory. And you have this co-op prep course that gives you a leg up in sort of applying for these types of positions. You will have a co-op advisor who can guide you through thinking about, how to present yourself, the skills that you have on the things that you choose to put versus not put on your resume, things like that. The program is designed to help you all with as much, to give you all as much help as possible in order to be able to get the most out of these opportunities. For those of you interested in the online program, you should know that online students have just the same amount of support as on-ground students. So we have, people whose job it is to kind of reach out, both in terms of academic advising and in terms of co-op advice, and then we'll help you find co-ops that might be local to your region as well, if you're unable to maybe come to Boston for co-op. So we're really devoted to supporting both students who are able to come to campus, as well as students who, for one reason or another, choose the online program. Just as an example of some companies that you may have heard of, where our students go both for co-op and for actually job placements after they finish in the program. I won't go through each one individually here. You can come back and research some of these companies when you have access to this presentation or the recording of our meeting today. But the general idea here is that it's not kind of just biotech. There's pharmaceutical. You have pharmaceutical companies. We have scientifically focused institutes like the Broad Institute here. A lot of kind of startup focused and enterprise focused locations, both research assistant type positions as well as kind of positions more devoted to bioinformatics or data analysis in various companies. Similarly, our alumni, we have a little bit of data about our graduates. 94% of our graduates typically go on to bioinformatics related positions. So we have a lot of students choosing to continue in bioinformatics after completing our program. We have a salary of probably close to 100,000 for the average starting position that our students tend to take. And again, similarly to where our students go to co-op, the types of positions that they choose are also really highly correlated and range from software engineering to wet lab and data analysis positions. So if you have not applied to the program yet, the link to the application can be found here. There's a few things you'll need to include, so like a personal statement for why you're actually interested in the program, some transcripts from your previous institutions, as well as letters of recommendation. If you didn't go to college where English was the main language, we ask for some proof of English proficiency, whether TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. There's no GRE requirement for applications, and we actually don't require any specific prerequisites for the application to our program. So often, we'll have students coming into the program that maybe come from a computer science background and haven't really had that much experience in biology, as well as students coming in from a biology or maybe even a medical background that don't have that much experience in programming. For all of these types of students, the program is still very accessible, although obviously the more background you have in the field of bioinformatics, the easier it might be, especially starting out. So, we have a few recommended majors or minimum recommended GPA of a 3.0, but I wouldn't not apply just because you don't meet these minima. Often there's additional information that comes from your resume and CV that would make you good fits for the position. So there's a few deadlines here on the bottom of the slide for applying for the fall semester, but if you wouldn't be able to make some of these fall deadlines, there is still time to apply for the spring semester as well. So on that note, I'm going to pause here on the slide and we can look through the questions. If you have additional questions about the program specifically, you can contact Jennifer Darvish. The email is right here on the slide. And then if you have questions about applying to Northeastern in general, things like scholarship questions or how do I submit an application, those types of questions should go to COS grad admissions at northeastern.edu. So thank you all for listening. We're gonna work our way through some of the questions that we see here in the chat.
Awesome job, Doc. Oh, Sky, go ahead. Yeah, awesome. Sky has some questions. We both have questions. So, but great job. And then, Doc, we may ask you to go back to that screen that has the admission standards in a few moments. That one right there, yeah. Go ahead, Scott. I know I cut you off.
Oh, no problem. I just wanted to add in that anybody that has not yet submitted an application, COS is offering an application fee waiver code to anybody that has attended this webinar today. So if you have not submitted your application yet, I put in the chat the application fee waiver is COS webinar 2024. So you can use that to submit an application. And we'll start with some of the questions in the chat here. I'm just going to start at the top here and start listing them off for you, Max. First
Sure.
one is it possible to finish the program within 1 year, 1.5 years?
Yeah, so I would say, is it possible? Yes. Would it be extremely, extremely difficult? Also, yes. I don't think there's any precedent of anyone finishing the program in 1 year. Simply because, you know, it would just be too much work per semester to try and take 16 credits. A lot of our courses are really intensive in terms of time. A lot of them involve, you know, writing code from scratch, especially if you don't really have that kind of background. That can be quite time consuming. And, you know, we don't want to put people in situations where they have to, you know, take too much and then they retake classes. So I would say 1.5 year plus co-op could potentially be doable if you're able to take classes in the summer. Some of our electives can be offered at that time, but it is still rather rare, and that's not something that we would probably recommend.
So I know that on our course catalog, we still indicate the bioinformatics and informatics concentration, since the new catalog is going to be posted very soon. But just to confirm, that concentration has been sunset, correct?
Correct.
So for that question, correct, that concentration
Yes.
is no longer an option.
Correct.
Is there courses that include topics on artificial intelligence?
Absolutely, yes. So Northeastern actually has a whole AI institute. And you know, if that's something that you're interested in, many of those courses will count as electives for the program. And you know, the data analytics concentration has some concentration specific courses where, you know, AI is covered as well.
Okay. This question I think you answered, maybe putting that last slide on there for who to contact, but people are interested in scholarships for people that have already been admitted and who they can contact to find out more if there is any options for them.
Yeah, so things like scholarship questions should go to COS, grad admissions at northeastern.edu. Many of the available scholarships probably have already been actually, I don't want to say that. You should really reach out to that email. They're kind of aware of all of the specific things that might apply to each individual position. I can't give a very general answer because they're kind of depending on where you're coming from, which campus you're going to. There may be scholarship opportunities that are unique to your specific case. So if you have questions, you should reach out there.
Okay, let's see, what do we have here?
If I have a current job, can it act as my co-op if they provide the right types of experiences?
Yeah, so typically what you'd want to do is when you come into the program, that's something that you can work out with your co-op advisor. Typically you would, depending on your length of experience in industry already, if you've been working there may actually be you may be eligible for a waiver for a co-op prep course. But again, we typically still recommend that students take that because, just because you've been working in industry for a long time doesn't mean that you can't use a refresher on these professional skills that you might be learning in that course. And it's always nice to have access to this individual advisor. But in many cases, if you are currently working in industry, you could kind of center your co-op experience around where you're already working. There's definitely precedent for that. But again, I don't want to say any guarantees because it'll depend on your specific position and whether you can essentially justify that it's close enough to bioinformatics type position for it to be eligible for a co-op waiver.
Okay. Is the graduate certificate full-time or can it also be part-time?
The graduate certificate is both. In order to be eligible for part-time, you have to be a domestic student, I believe.
Where was this? Co-op for students that are taking the online course. How does that work?
Yeah, so typically students would have so you would take the course if you're in the online program, you would take the prep course online. When you're a student here, you have access to this like really large system within the university that has these positions listed with at different locations, kind of depending on where exactly you are taking online courses from. There might potentially be biotech in your area. And so, again, Northeastern has a lot of connections in a lot of places. There might be local opportunities that you can leverage with the help of your co-op advisor to do work there. And of course, we have also had students in the past, even if they're, taking classes online, they might come to Boston, for example, for the duration of their co-op to do that kind of experience here where there's a lot of like biotech around and have access to the campus briefly. So it's usually one of those two things. Either, if there are reasonable opportunities around, we help you find those. If you happen to be in a place that maybe doesn't have really far from a major city or doesn't have very many bioinformatics or biotech opportunities around, then travel can be typical.
Okay. So I know this, that there's no PhD available for this program. What would be a student's next step if they were to pursue a master's in bioinformatics? What would be their next step with as far as PhD?
Yeah, so having completed a master's is helps you with your PhD application. Certainly having research experience in industry is also a big benefit for those applications. We do have many students, well, at least a handful of students that do choose to pursue a PhD after completing our master's. In terms of concentration, I would recommend the omics concentration for those individuals who are interested in pursuing a PhD afterwards. Sorry, I don't remember. There's a part of that question that I missed in my answer somewhere.
No, I think we covered it.
Okay.
I think that's good. How much does the program implement high performance computing? And is it possible to implement research into your coursework?
Yeah, let me kind of answer that as two separate questions. So we have access to high performance computing. Northeastern has our own cluster that we access that's not shared with anybody outside of Northeastern. It's called Discovery. There's Discovery integration in many courses in the program, at least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, 2 of which are required courses. And so there's that using the cluster is part of the educational component for sure, both in terms of, getting used to the Unix interface, as well as, running jobs on the cluster and running certain pipelines in genomics, for example. We look at a quality control pipeline for sequencing data that we do on the high performance computing cluster. So that's the first part. The second part was, if I remember correctly, research opportunities. So we don't have any bioinformatics specific research labs on campus. There are, however, like both biology and biochemistry labs that often where students potentially sometimes work in those labs. You could do it both as coursework, which is a little bit more typical, or you could potentially find like research assistantship type positions. That happens much more rarely because those tend to go to biology PhD students at Northeastern. But there's definitely been instances of students doing research for credit that can count as elective credit for you for the program, for sure. Yeah.
Hi, I have that question. I just wanted to say thank you for your answer.
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you for that, Emma. I was going to ask if there are any students who like to come off mute and ask the question directly. That's also an opportunity as well, too. Certainly we have questions in the chat. We can keep going through the chat, but I also want to make sure we get to any pertinent other questions. So any other questions?
Hi, my name is Afaf. I'll be joining Northeastern for the Bioinformatics program for September 2024. It was a great program. Great event. I wanted to know when can I receive my I-20? Other than that, what are the opportunities for RA or TA? Should I apply now or can I apply once I am on the campus?
Yeah, sure. Afaf, thank you for your question. So for the I-20 question, you should reach out to COS Grad Admissions. They'll know the pacing of that better. It really depends on their workload at the moment, how long that'll take from the moment where you confirm your application to now. So if you have a question, please reach out to that email address. In terms of TA and RA, so RA I sort of talked about earlier. There's very few opportunities available typically for RA type positions. It's not that it never happens, but I certainly wouldn't count on it. For TA positions, there is a fair amount. Typically we have 11 to 15 TA positions open within the program per semester, but those are very competitive. So typically we see 60 to 70 applications for those positions per semester. So what our kind of base advice is for applying for those positions is you should do it after your first semester and prioritize courses that you've already taken when applying. So, most of the time for those positions, they'll go to students that have already taken the course and done really well in that course. So the best way to position yourself for having the ability to do a TA position is to, take the course that you would be interested in TAing for and, form a really good relationship with the faculty that teaches it. And then that gives you a leg up on getting those positions.
Okay,
Hope that
thank you.
answered-
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Anybody else want to come off that? I mean, how is the PSM program different from the MS program? Is it a STEM course with a 3-year option for international students?
So let's see if I remember if I understand the question correctly. So our program is a PSM. It's just different from other kinds of master's programs. And the main difference is that we don't have a master's thesis that you write, but instead we do have this required co-op experience. So if you're thinking generally, that's the big difference. But specifically for Northeastern, we just have the PSM option. And what was the second part of the question again?
Is it a STEM course with a 3-year option for international students?
Let me see. Maybe I can find the question in the chat so I can
It's from
maybe better understand.
It's from Alexandria. Alexandria, I don't know if you're still on the call, and I may not be phrasing your question correctly. No worries, Doc. I think you need to.
I see. As a STEM course with a 3-year 3-year OPT for international students. So OPT, if you're talking about kind of the ability to work while you're a student in the program, again, this is something where I would reach out to COS grad admissions with that kind of a question. You typically need to maintain a certain GPA for being able to work while you're a student. But yes, all of the courses in the program would count as STEM courses if that's relevant for something that's specific to you.
One question I've seen, I think once or twice in the chat, incoming students that are coming in for fall 24, do you have any recommendations or suggestions for how they can best meet students that are also entering fall 24, or any way that they can connect with students?
Yeah, so for those of you that are just coming in, you should all have once you have confirmed, you should be added to a Canvas course, which is kind of specific for your incoming cohort. I would look at the resources that are available there. I think there might be a discussion set up where you might be able to post things to try and reach out to other students. I will actually check on that. So if that's not the case, you can expect that to be available soon. There's also, certain resources on that Canvas page where if you familiarize yourself with those, it'll give you a nice head start. We're actually going to be adding a few additional resources to that page throughout the summer, and we'll try to post announcements when new things become available. Like, for example, if you want to get a little bit of a head start on some programming related skills, we're trying to put together a set of kind of introductory pre-course modules that might give you a head start. All of that will be accessible from the Canvas page. Obviously come to all the orientations that are scheduled for the end of August, early September. That's going to be a great place where you can start meeting people even before the program begins. And then once you're in the program, there's a few, kind of depending on what your specific interests are. If you want to meet people for networking, for example, we have a student association between bioinformatics and biotech. It's GBBA, Graduate Biotech Bioinformatics Student Association. So that can be a student group that you can join and then hear a lot about different opportunities to meet people, network with all sorts of bioinformatics students, not just in your cohort. So hope that answers the question.
We have one question here about registering for courses. And is there a webinar that's going to take place about that same guidance or any support that students can get for registering for courses? I know course registration opens on May 8th, but the follow-up question I don't have an answer to.
Yeah, so I don't think there is any specific event scheduled. You should be able to when registrations opens, you'll get an announcement. By that time you should have a Northeastern email, so I'd check that. If you get to a point where registration is open, but you have some difficulties registering for classes, actually the other email that's on this page, j.darvish@northeastern.edu. Jennifer is our senior program operations manager, should be able to help you all with any problems that you might be having. But yeah, I would just wait to hear around the time registration opens. You should get relatively specific instructions for how to do that.
Let's see. How many students enrolled for the BINF course?
So the bioinformatics courses vary in size. Typically the courses are around 30 students, although many are smaller than that. I would expect most of your courses to be between mid-teens and 35 in size. We really try to keep the sections no bigger than 30 as much as possible, because we want to make sure that all the students have enough opportunities to work and interact with our faculty in more of a one-on-one type setting. So that's something that I really value for our program, but we also don't want to have things that are too small, because then you don't get a chance to hear like other students' perspectives on things. So it'll vary, and when you register for classes or near the start of the semester, you can see how many people are in each section, but those are the typical numbers that I would expect.
One question says, when and how do I choose my concentration?
So that's a really good question. Typically concentrations are chosen near the end of your first semester. Technically, you don't need to choose a concentration until later, but if you do choose one at that time, it really helps us make sure there's enough courses or there's enough sections for everyone that might want to take certain courses. And it helps you focus on, which courses you need to take at a certain time. The different concentrations have different program plans that you follow that'll say roughly which courses you need to be taking at which semester. which should, help you plan your degree out a little bit better. Let's see, there was a part of that I missed again, I think. Yeah. Oh, right. For choosing your concentration, around the time where we ask you for it, we actually have a concentration declaration, webinar meeting type thing where I go in a little bit more detail about the career trajectories for the different concentrations. What are some of the pros and cons to picking a specific concentration? And so we go through that at least one time before you have to decide. And you'll have an opportunity at that meeting to ask more detailed questions. And when you're a student, you can always come to me, talk to me about your career plans if you're still unsure what you want to decide. I often meet with students to just talk through what their plans are in terms of continuing their work in bioinformatics after the program. And often I can give some advice about what to choose.
Thank you, Doc. We have about 5 minutes left, students, and so I see a few more questions in the chat. But if anyone wants to come off mute and just ask your question directly in our last little bit, we will allow this to happen at this time. Any direct questions for Dr. Wolf?
Hi, I have one. Oh, you can go ahead. I already asked a question.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thank you. I think my question was missed, but I have a BA in biology for undergrad. I don't know if I need a BS for this master's degree.
No, I think you should be able to apply. Assuming as a 4-year degree, you should be able to apply
Yes.
with what you have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my question was, can you enter as a full-time student and then switch to part-time, or can you enter as a part-time and then switch to full-time? Like, is there any
Yeah,
sort of...
if you're a domestic student, that's certainly possible.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, quick question. Are classes relatively easy to follow for individuals that are still working in industry?
Yeah. So, of course, if you're still working in industry, the kind of default recommendation is that you think about, if you're working full time, the recommendation is that you do the program part-time. Typically 1 class per semester isn't too bad if you're also working full-time. But if you are thinking of being a full-time student as well as working full-time, that's where it really kind of depends on your own background. We've had students that have done that successfully. We've also had students that have attempted to do that and realized that it was too much. So it really depends on how familiar you are with which specific pair of courses you'd be interested in taking in any given semester. So I would basically have that conversation with your academic advisor once you have one. We have, for the courses that you take, we have estimates typically on the syllabus about how much time we think this course would take from an average student outside of class. So you can use that around your own schedule to see if it makes sense for you or not.
Hello,
Okay.
sir. Am I audible? I had a doubt before starting with the academic curriculum, do we need to learn any programming languages for this course?
Yeah, so it's not required, but starting to look into it will definitely make your time in those courses easier. So the first semester is designed to catch everybody up essentially on computing skills in bioinformatics, give you an introduction to a lot of the kind of basic ideas that the future courses really build on. So, it's totally fine if you don't have any experience starting out in those courses, but that will probably mean that you'll have to spend a little bit more time than some students who already have some of that experience. And if you are looking for getting some before the courses start, we're gonna make some resources available on that Canvas page for you to look at if you wanted to get a head start.
So, sir, do we need to learn the programming languages from our country, or we'll come there and learn for them? Like, what is the difference?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. So the programming languages that you should probably focus on learning are Python and R. Those are the two most commonly used in bioinformatics and biotech industry here. If you have access or interest in learning another language, that's totally fine too. I think they all kind of learning one helps you learn the others as well.
Okay, I do have a
Thank you,
question.
sir.
Yeah, Karsten,
Please,
go.
I wanted to know whether the admission requirements are only based on your GPA or other things like recommendation and work experience contributes to the admission.
Yeah, so all those things, all the things that are kind of on this slide contribute. So your personal statement is really important. The GPA that's from your transcripts, the recommendation letters, both your kind of course background and work experience all contribute. So yeah, basically, the students that we're looking for show an ability to succeed in the program. If we think that you can come here and be successful, we're happy to admit you. And so it helps if you kind of know what you're getting into as part of the program, that your career goals align with the things that we teach. And we try to understand that from all of the documents that you submit as part of your application.
All right, thank you very much.
We are at time here, folks. So I just want to wrap it up here. I don't know if Kenyatta is still with us to give us some final parting words. I will also pass it over to Max just to say thank you to him for this presentation today, and for all of you for attending, for your great questions. I think we had a great discussion here. As a final reminder, for anybody that has not yet submitted an application, you do have that COS webinar 2024 app fee waiver code. So get that in, and I'll pass it over to Max for any final words that he wants to give these future Huskies.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you all for your questions. I was excited to see some of you on video. Hopefully I'll see many of you in the program. I really think that we do a great job here with our program and at Northeastern in general. So if you're really excited about the field, I think this is one of the best places you can go.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you.